Well, that was a disaster, wasn't it? Absolute disaster.
Yes.
Hello, DT.
Hello.
Hello, everybody.
This
You've
is
seen me.
live.
You've seen me miming. You've seen him just sat there doing nothing, and we are back here for another late tea time podcast. As always, it comes to you as late as we possibly can on a Wednesday, so the man next to me can have as long as he can to get all of the various gubbins of information together to try and get the best bets ahead of. Well, actually, I think 3 tournaments today. TT, we're going to look at, aren't we?
We are, yeah. We've got the Women's British Open up in Muirfield, Scotland. So we've got a bit of late info on that.
Well, the 3 we're looking at, there's the Kazoo Open, which is in Wales, I understand.
Correct.
There is the Wyndham Championship in the US, and then the women, as you mentioned. And it's the time of the women, isn't it? The Lionesses. Come on, the Lionesses. That won't mean any to anybody that listening to in the US.
Well, it should do. Surely. Have you not made the news there?
Well, it was European and it was soccer. It's not the biggest thing in the world, is it, for Americans?
Well, it needs to be.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm sure some of you know. Anyway, the mighty England Lionesses won the Euros in the old soccer, as you would call it, over there on stateside. Shall we start off by, though, saying what a wonderful man Eddie Pepperell is?
Yeah, he did brilliant, didn't he, last week? 50-1 tip, our only tip in the Hero Open, and he was nearly a hero, wasn't he? Played brilliantly for most of the week. Had a superb final round and just got done, didn't he? Just got done. I think he couldn't have done any more. I think what did he shoot? 22 under, but got beaten by Sean Crocker.
Well, I've still got my my notes from last week in front of me. Eddie Pepperell, Hero Open, 50-1, 8 places, and he came second. So well played to Eddie. He's now definitely our mate on this side of the Atlantic. The other bet that you put up last week was we couldn't actually find it live, but well, I'm actually hoping people couldn't find it now because it just missed, didn't it? Because it was for Max Homer, Patrick Cantlay, and Will Zalatoris to all make it into the top 20 of the Rocket Mortgage Classic. Cantlay came second. Zalatoris was in the top 20. Max Homer was tied 24th, one shot out. So hopefully you didn't find it out there and you didn't actually manage to place your bets on it.
Yeah, or you found a different version where they had to come in the top 25.
Yeah, it's very close. So good week last week with Eddie leading the line for us. But let's have a look at the Wyndham Championship. I'll go through the top end of the market. Sungjae Im is 16-1. Shane Lowry 16s. Will Zalatoris 18-1. Webb Simpson is 22. So is Billy Horschel 25-1 for Corey Connors and Russell Henley. So is Siwoo Kim. DT, I've already given the modus operandi of the podcast that we leave it as late as possible. Has that led us anywhere when it comes to the Wyndham?
Yeah, so we're going to look at the front end. So they've had quite a few of the top guys in for interview on Wednesday, which is why we do this, so we can hear those interviews and perhaps react to them. They've had Webb Simpson in, who's got a brilliant record in the event, but he's played pretty terrible this season, Webb Simpson, and he has admitted that he sort of hopes things will go right. He said things are sort of turning, but he keeps finishing 60th and 50th. So even though, he is one to watch in this event every time he tees it up, I think this year, you're getting the sort of standard Webb Simpson price, and yet he's in terrible form or poor form.
Yeah.
So he's one to avoid. They also interviewed Billy Horschel, who he sounded like he's just a bit undercooked. He hasn't had time for practice. He spent some time with the family. So he maybe, again, someone who you would really think of backing if he came in all guns blazing saying, yeah, I'm totally ready. So again, I've kind of thought he's the standard Billy Horschel price, and yet we haven't got that feeling from him that it's going to have a big week. But Will Zalatoris, yes. Okay. Yes, that's a yes from Will Zalatoris, because he says he's playing great, just had a bit of a poor end to last week. Now, he went to Wake Forest, which is the big university near here. He said he's played this course goodness knows how many times. He knows it like the back of his hand.
We always like that connection, don't
yeah.
we? Collegiate stuff, the course just down the road.
Yeah, so we've been playing it all, so many years. Will Zalatoris, and it strikes me from memory, it's one of those tournaments where you have had quite a guys win it with local connections. Webb Simpson being one of those. I remember backing him here when he gained his first win. I think he was 20-1. So Will Zalatoris is in that similar boat. We know he's a great golfer. You know fine well he's played brilliant in all his majors. Now, if you could pick maybe 3 or 4 courses where he might get this first win, which is just tantalizingly close, but he can't quite get over the line, it's got to be this week.
Yeah.
There's all the connections. He's playing well. It's not the best field. Some of his rivals at the head of the betting, they perhaps are just not in their best form. So the door is open for you, Will Zalatoris.
Step through, man. Step through. Looking at the prices here, you can get in best price of 18-1.
Yeah.
That's only 5 places. That's with Bet365 and with Bet Victor. But looking there, I think the best price that I would take there, 16-1 DT, 8 places with Betfair.
Yeah, I think so. Let me read you the quote out that he says about this. I love this place. I know it really well. Quite frankly, I don't even really need a yardage book around this place. I know it that well. It's a place I'm very comfortable with. I played here practically half my life. So I love being here. It's a great environment for me, especially being right down the street from Wake Forest. I look forward to having a good week. Just says his game's in a good place. So, yeah, I think this is the week for Will Zalatoris. I'd hate to miss out on this. It's not so he's 11-1 favourite. We're getting 16-1 at some sort of price, and that's nice. So yeah, Will Zalatoris.
Will Zalatoris, the man, as you say, he's come very, very close, and this might be his week. And you'd want to be on him if he's going to win, and it's going to be quite big news, isn't it? If he finally gets across the line, you want to be on him.
So. Yeah, and this has been quite a good tournament for me. I went to Wyndham Comprehensive School in Cumbria. So my school was called Wyndham.
I bet
so
it doesn't look quite the same.
Forest.
Yeah.
No, but got a few notable people who went there. Bites. Remember them?
Who?
It Bites, Calling All the Heroes.
Oh, yeah.
He's quite big in America, Francis Dunnery, I think. Bit of a guitar legend.
Do you know who went to my school?
Go on, who?
You. Similar kind of thing, music. Me, obviously. The lead singer of Swing Out Sister.
Yeah.
Break Out. Do. A couple of years older than me, Corinne Drury.
Yes, I remember.
Her mother runs a hedgehog sanctuary. Or always used to, isn't it?
Yeah. Who says this podcast doesn't give excellent information?
That's what you call going off on a tangent. Anyway, let's get back on the golf, because as well as the Wyndham, I take it that's your best bet and your only bet for the Wyndham, is it? As we got 3 to go through.
We'll come back to it because I've got a couple of match bets, but yes, on the outrights, that's the only one.
Marvellous. Right, Kazoo Open then. We're in the old country of Wales for this one. And the top end of the markets here, there's a familiar name towards the top end of the list, but I'll start with the very top. Jordan Smith, 14-1. Thomas Detry is in there at 18. You've got Callum Shinkwin. He's 22-1. And then Eddie Pepperell, our mate of this old podcast, 30-1 best price. Thorben Olsen is 30-1. Sean Crocker is around about 30s as well. DT, over to you. Where is the old Welsh golf taking us this time?
Eddie Pepperell, of course.
Hey,
How can we abandon
I can read your lips and read your mind there.
Yeah, I mean, he was so good last week. I mean, that built on an 11th place. Eddie Pepperell is a brilliant golfer. He's finished 3rd in the Players' Championship at Sawgrass. He's led an Open in round 3. I think he top 6. And look at his numbers. You look at the strokes gain numbers. He gained 10 strokes on the approach. You remember on Grandstand when he couldn't believe a team had scored 10? and you get the brackets that
Yes.
spells it out just in case you've misconstrued what it says. So Eddie Pepperell had gained over 10 strokes, TEN in approach. You hardly ever see that. So he's hitting his irons just unbelievably well. And that's a good thing on this course, Celtic Manor, which stays the Ryder Cup. So we can't let him go. I honestly thought it'd be a fair bit shorter this week. I think
I was going to say that. You mentioned it last week. If he was in normal circumstances, you would never get him at 50-1. He's obviously impressed a little bit because he came second, and he's impressed us enough to be our friend now. But Eddie Pepperell, 30-1 best price, hasn't really been slashed massively, has he?
No, I don't think so. Look at every golfer shorter than him in the betting. He's better than them at his best, and I think he is at his best right now. So we've got to, invest some of those winnings from last week, shove some of those chips back onto Eddie Pepperell, because it would be madness not to back him here. He's also finished fourth on this course before. So if there was any concern that, maybe this course isn't for him, well, he's played well here before.
There was a message you tweeted, nearly 50-1 Eddie Pepperell finishes runner-up, and Nick Penny responded. We retweeted that on the Late Tea Time Pod Twitter feed, and Nick said, have you got any players that you follow just because, or are you more disciplined than him? So I take it Nick's got his favourites and he just lumps on them regardless of what form they're in. I would like to think, DT, that you've got a little bit more of a brain ruling your heart kind of approach.
Yeah, it's not just, say he'd come second by chipping in 5 times, or just, I don't know, having a hole in one or an albatross and just kind of slightly fluking his way to it. If he can do that over 72 holes, I'm not sure he can. But everything was convincing and proper about Eddie Pepperell last week. So we've got to play him again.
So as
it doesn't end there. So I think you can get 28 8 places. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm just looking at the same. We can get 28 7 places with Betfair for Eddie.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
So 28-1 Eddie Pepperell, 7 places with Betfair.
And then I'm going to double down on those two because I'm so keen on them this week. So we're going to put them in a match bet as well. So I'm going to take Will Zalatoris to beat Billy Horschel. As I've already touched on, everything good for Will Zalatoris. Billy Horschel saying he's a little bit underprepared. And also going to take Eddie Pepperell to beat Matti Schmidt, the German, who, he's a talent. It's not really an anti-Matti Schmidt bet. It's just a pro-Eddie Pepperell bet. Matti Schmidt went over to the PGA Tour and did quite well recently, and you go through his results, and there's some good results in there, but it's quite interesting. You look at his results on European soil, they're not very good at all.
Yeah.
And he's why would that be? I don't quite know what that be. Every time you look at where he's played well, it's not in Europe. He's like miscut off 60th. So just adds a little bit to Eddie Pepperell beating him. I think Eddie Pepperell will beat everybody, but he's the underdog in that match bet, which I don't get at all. He's even money, Eddie Pepperell, to win that match bet. So Eddie Pepperell to beat Matti Schmidt, Will Zalatoris to beat Billy Horschel. It's a just under 3-1 double if you can find that. It's definitely at Betfair. You might be able to find it somewhere else.
Okay, so Zalatoris to beat Horschel, Pepperell to beat Schmidt, just under 3-1 as a double. Then across those two events, the Wyndham and the Kazoo over the course of the weekend. DT, you did mention women.
Yes. Now, Matt Cooper, friend of the podcast, friend of mine, very good friend of mine, is up at Muirfield where they're playing the Ladies British Open. So I said to him, what have you got? What have you got for me there? So
that was your first comment, was it? Before you said hello, how are you doing? Anything, just what you got?
It basically was, to be honest. Yeah, there's no room for niceties. Me and Matt stayed there when it held the Open Championship, and we were just reliving some of those stories. I had my picture taken with Ronnie Corbett. He's a famous, very little entertainer. Think, if you're American, think of Danny DeVito, but smaller. And that's Ronnie Corbett. He was very famous.
If Russian dolls of comedic actors,
yes,
Ronnie
he's
Corbett's
inside.
the smallest.
Yeah.
He's the smallest, then Danny DeVito, and then you grow from there, don't you?
That's right, yeah. So I had my picture taken with him, and I saw him just sort of shuffling along the course. He was tiny little man. But he had his photo taken with me, so that was good of him. And we also ended up being invited for a drink by this guy called the Old Colonel, who lives by the... It was a bizarre story. Who lives by the course. There's 2 photos by the course, the Colonel's house and the Old Colonel's house. I don't quite how we managed it, but the Colonel invited us in for some wine and told us his life story. One of those...
Was he like
when you leave the room and go, did that happen? It was really quite odd.
Oh, in my head, he's the major off Faulty Towers.
Yes, sort of, a bit younger than that, but he had some tales to tell. But more pressingly, for in terms of the bets, which Matt sent me on my phone. So he said, it looks like it'll get blowy on Thursday afternoon. That's about 25 miles an hour blowy. So he thinks it might be an advantage to start in the morning in round 1. And the player he's picked out there is Georgia Hall, who has already won this tournament. I think it was at Lytham, Georgia Hall. Do you remember at St Andrews a few weeks ago, they had a kind of celebrity event beforehand where Rory was playing, and
yes, I
think she was in Rory's group, Georgia Hall, which just gives her that elevated feeling that she belongs at the top echelon. She looks a good fit for this course, plays really well in wind. So he likes her. I think, have you got the page up? Is she about 20-1?
She's 11-4 to be in the top 10.
Right. Well, she can do better than that.
She is, where are we?
You can get 22 6 places, I think.
Winner of market is what we're after, isn't it? Let's press that button. Yeah. Georgia Hall is, where are you, Georgia? There she is. You can get 10 places for 18-1.
Yeah, that's the one, isn't it? 10 places for 18-1. Yeah,
with Sky Bet. I mean, you can get 22s, but 18-1 with 10 places. It's twice the number of places for only a little bit off your bet, isn't it? So it's a bit safer. So 18-1, 10 places with Sky Bet for Georgia Hall. That sounds all right to me.
Yeah, and the other one he mentioned was Ataya Thitical. And I think she's from Singapore. She's so many good Asian lady players, and she's none of them. She won the Women's Amateur Pacific Championship. Now, there's an interesting little difference of opinion here, or 2 different takes you can make. She's actually said herself she doesn't really like links. She finds it hard. So you think, well, why would we be entertaining a bet on her? But then Martin Slumbers, the top R&A bloke, played the Pro-Am with her and said this. I will tell you, I played with Ataya Thitical in the Pro-Am yesterday. I'll tell you that she just shot 30 on the front 9, and that was including a missed 3-foot putt at number 8.
Wow.
So for all, this is a bit, a bit foreign and a bit different to what my normal golf is, and that she's no big fan of the links. We've heard players say that down. I think Tom Watson used to say he wasn't a fan of the links, and he won 5 Opens.
Well, if that's her easing into it and working out how to do it, what happens when she cracks it?
Yeah, exactly. She's played here before. She's not playing it for the first time. So I think it's maybe a slow burner, but surely after yesterday playing a 9 in 30 on that course, it's one of them bits of info. If you don't act on it and she goes and wins, you're thinking, I was given such a big hint there. Anyway, she's What 20s? She's 26 places, 16 to 10 places.
Yeah, I was going to suggest the 16 to 1, 10 places, the same with Sky Bet, the same as Georgia Hall.
So if you make those two your sort of women's bets, if one of them lands the each way, one of them comes in the top 10, you've won on the week.
I mean, we'll go that way on the podcast, but if anybody out there wants to go a different route, you're free to spend your money however you want to, as long as you gamble responsibly. But Ataya Thitical is 16 to 1, 10 places with Sky Bet. Georgia Hall, 18 to 1, 10 places with Sky Bet. So that's the women's markets. The AIG Women's Open. You've got the Kazoo. And we're looking at Eddie Pepperell, our favourite this side of the Atlantic, 28 to 1, 7 places with Betfair to win the Kazoo. And in the American event, the Wyndham Championship, Will Zalatoris, 16 to 1, 8 places with Betfair. And the double, Will Zalatoris to beat Horschel, Eddie Pepperell to beat Schmidt, is just under 3 to 1 as a double there. But shop around, all of those prices correct at the time I've just said them. So if you wake up in about 2 hours' time, they may have changed a little bit by then. So shop around and try and get the best you possibly can.
Obviously, we're recording this at 7:30 UK time. So early starts for the Women's British Open on the Kazoo. So you need to get your bets on now, folks, or before midnight, or get up very, very early. Otherwise, those markets will be gone. If you're in America, you've got a bit more time to have a listen and digest it.
Put your feet back, put your feet up, have a listen to it twice. It's all good for the numbers. We've not even mentioned the Live Tour. We're not going to do this week. We're going to be a live-free zone this week and maybe come back to it in the future as well. But DT, good luck with your bets. I'll see you on something else tomorrow. But have a good weekend with your golf. Gamble responsibly out there, everybody. Thank you for watching and listening. Apologies for my mess up with the mute button at the start of it. And I'll try and endeavour to be better when I see you around about the same time next week. I'm going to put up this banner. Where's it gone? I'm going to put this up. So I might as well put it up because I've been working on these things all the way through. There we go. I'm going to stick that up and then we'll say goodbye to you off the back of that. There are various methods of watching. You can listen to us on the Twitter, on YouTube. You can watch us on YouTube, Late Tea Time Pod on Twitter, Late Team Podcast on Facebook. They're all there for you. So however you want to digest us, then fill your boots. It's always good to have you with us. DT, thank you again. Thanks everybody out there for watching, and we'll see you again this time.